So Judges is one of my favorite books in the Bible, and I think it's my favorite because it kind of shows the cycle over and over of like God not giving up on his people, even though sometimes it seems like they might deserve it, and like they just get out of sync with him and stop following him, and then he always brings them back. He uses someone to bring them back. And one of my favorite stories in Judges is about Gideon, because Gideon is someone who doesn't see who he is, and God just pulls it out of him. And sometimes there's moments in our lives where maybe we don't really see who we are, we don't really realize like who God has made us to be. Gideon, during a wartime, during a time when people were constantly scared for their lives, he was hiding in a cave in a wine press, pretty much doing something that you're supposed to do on a hill, trying to thresh wheat in a wine press in a cave. In other words, he was not brave. But the Lord comes and speaks to him and calls him mighty warrior. And he kind of looks around like, "Are you talking to me? I'm Gideon. What do you mean I'm going to help save our people? What do you mean? Because not only am I the least in my family, but my family is the least in the land. There's nothing special about me, but God sees something special in him. And God says, I know who you are because I made you, and I know what you're capable of because I made you." And even though people question Gideon because he has to several times make sure, okay, is this really what God is saying? Is God really saying this? You know, he's cautious, but I would want to be cautious if God's telling me, hey, your land is in trouble and there's this war and everything and you need to be the one to lead it. I think I would ask God a couple times too, like, okay, is this really God? You really want me to do this? But the point with Gideon is that God was able to see who he was before he even could, and before anyone else even could. I don't think in reading Judges that you would assume that everyone else was like, oh yeah, Gideon's this great guy, he just doesn't know it yet. It doesn't look that way. So my point today is just that even if you're in this stage in life where you're struggling or where you're hiding or where you're not sure what your calling is or where you're not sure what you're doing with your life, guess what? God knows. He knows, and he not only will call you by that name, but he'll call you out of that place where you're hiding or out of that place where you just don't feel like you fit, because he knows. He made you, and he knows exactly what you were made for in exactly the right timing. And so just be encouraged today.